Would I eat lab grown meat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I'm the type of I'd try most things
I mean,
just to see.
if you can guarantee that I can eat the perfect piece of meat because it was made with science, I'm here for it.
What's the best piece of meat you've ever had? Hmm.
The best piece of
Have you?
um the best piece of meat I've ever had. Um Probably like a tomahawk steak.
Otama. Have you had like Wagyu?
So let me tell you my interesting story. Um I've spent a month in Japan and I haven't had wagyu yet.
Wow.
And it pisses me off because every time I go, I people I'm with, I'm like, yo, let's go get our wagyu fix on. Like we have to do it. It needs to be done. And it's always, oh, we'll get it later in the trip. We'll just do it later in the trip. And later in the trip turns into
Mm-hmm.
never in the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I made it mandatory that the next time I go, which might be April of next year, that the next time I go, you know what I'm doing? First, not the first day, because
First
I'm gonna be
thing.
tired. First meal at a restaurant. I'm finding some nice A5, and probably I might do one of those
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
7 course. You know how they like do like the Michelin star rated, like seven
Yeah.
course kind of
Michelin.
dinner.
Yep. You got
Yeah,
what? Michelin, is it like 1, 2, 3 stars? And then you can also have a Michelin just plated restaurant. I think that's maybe how it's all broken down.
yeah. Michelin.
I don't think there's a Michelin restaurant in my city.
0 to 3 stars is how it goes.
Yeah, I think if it's zero, they call it like plated or
Okay,
something.
okay, yeah, yeah. 1 star, high quality cooking. 2 stars, excellent cooking. 3 stars, exceptional cuisine, worth a special journey. All that. Wait, there's no Michelin restaurants where you're at?
No.
Jesus, it must be nice to be a loser. Come on, what are you talking about, fam? Come
I
on.
mean, how many though? How many are in the I mean, I guess there's some in the United States, but there's not a lot.
What's the closest city? Like if you're not like in
Oh, there's I mean Los Angeles, there's definitely
okay, that
gotta be
doesn't count
some
though. Like
Michelin.
what is the closest city to you that's not LA?
The closest city to me that's not LA, Palmdale. My and Lancaster is the city. I mean, there's no, I guarantee
Yeah, you
there's
got that
no.
one right. Never mind. Sorry, I apologize. My bad.
Mm-mm.
I won't speak out of turn again.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're telling me a lab could produce something that is Wagyu quality, I'm there for.
Listen,
I've had A5 Wagyu. Um, I've definitely had, so, there's all these different variations of it, but when you get the legit Wagyu, mind blown.
belts in your mouth, right?
Crazy.
And not like the I'm trying to figure this out right now, my man. I don't know what's going on. Going
I
through
see you got all
shit.
sorts of like lights
I'm going through stuff
going.
right
Got
now.
a light show. At first, it's like, oh no, Brian, the police are there.
um the so I've had super tender meat and I went on this and I blamed COVID for the most part, but I was on this
Hmm.
big kick where I would fall in love with like YouTube people, right?
Hmm.
One of my favorite guys is his name is Michael Che.
Uh-huh. From Saturday Night Live,
No,
or
that's a black guy. Oh, not Michael Che. It's Michael Chang. I think it's Michael Chang. But I think since he's Chinese, they don't really pronounce the. It's not like a hard NG. I don't know. Every time he
uh-huh.
says his name, he doesn't. He says it like Michael Che from Saturday Night Live. But I'm looking at him
Hmm.
like I know it's Chang. But he has a YouTube show series channel called Angry Dumpling, and he always is like Japan, Korea, stuff like that. And every time he has some wagyu, always like, "Yo, it's like meat butter," and I'm like, "That don't make sense." Like I hear what he's saying, but in my mind, that don't make sense. Like I can't quantify what that means, so I need to have it. I need it in my mouth.
It's so you'll never have anything as tender like that. Nothing comes close. I've had my dad is a huge like barbecue, sous vide, all that
Mhm.
stuff. So for his birthday one time as a gift, we bought him some like a variety of like wagyu like cuts of meat.
Yep.
Some were like American wagyu and then some were like the legitimate like A5 wagyu and even the difference between like American wagyu, you have it like, oh, this is a really good like the difference between American wagyu and an A5 like
Full-blooded
Japanese,
Japanese Wagyu.
they even those two things like don't even compare.
Yeah, it's. I just found out that there's a place called CT Wagyu near me, and I'm looking
Mhm.
at their they
You
sell
got
they
it.
s- they sell the meats.
Uh-huh.
They sell like
Okay.
straight up cuts, as you said, and I'm looking at it, and you know how like when you go on a website, it shows you the filter for like prices of stuff, and that generally gives you an idea of how expensive things are, right? You're like, oh,
Mhm.
$1 to $50. I know I can afford everything here, bro. This filter goes from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah. It's
What?
it's bananas
No, it's me.
the the price that you can pay. I think for like two like high quality like A5 or something wagyu steaks for my dad, it was like $98 or something for
Did he share it with
maybe
you
even
guys?
more. It might, yeah, he did. No. Like um yeah, so he cooked it up for us and then he even and we were able to compare and see and it's just
If we had to go through
words.
the show members and assign them all a cut of meat,
Mm.
how would that go?
How would that go? Yeah, who would be what cut of
I feel like Stu got
meat?
to be chicken wings
Chicken wings. Why chicken wings?
because, like,
I mean, the chickens are always out on him, right? And
to
he didn't
yeah,
even know what to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Always calling the chickens on him.
and it's almost like chicken wings could be some days chicken wings could be the best thing you've ever put in your mouth. And some days chicken wings are just the accoutrement to the actual meal you're eating, and no one really cares for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's kind of like stew. It's kind of like stew. He can be the main dish, but he knows he could also be the side.
Yeah.
Amin,
I could see that. Mhm.
Amin would be
What would a mean be? I mean, I'm trying to a contrarian cut of beef or like
duck. He'd be
duck.
duck.
Had like are we talking confit? Like
All of those things, because all
all
of
those
those things
things.
come with a sense of mm, a sense of right, like a sense of
So it's what snobbery, the stuck
the
upishness of
the poshness,
the poshness
uh,
of
the I'm better than you, and I'm going to let you know it because you could have chicken butter or chicken fat, but that isn't duck fat. Like it
mm-hmm,
isn't like
mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's
yeah, like
not
I don't know. I got to put him somewhere there. Like he's not. Who's the filet mignon?
mm. Who's the filet mignon centerpiece?
But only in short spurts. Because you never get a big like you never get like a 16-ounce filet mignon, right? Like those things don't exist.
Mm-mm. I don't. don't think so. No.
Yeah, I've never seen them. They always come in like these little 3-ounce hockey puck sizes. I feel like
Hmm.
Jess would be veal.
Veal.
Yeah.
Have you had veal? I think
Nah,
I've had veal, but not like when I was in France. I'm pretty sure I had, you know,
this fucking guy.
we've been
When
this
I
whole
was in
talk,
France.
a little look at me, Louie, maybe a little look at me, Mooey. Hey, huh? Look at me, Mooey.
Oh.
Right, little beef talk here, folks. Hey, it's the Fan Lebitard Show, the Fan Lebitard Show podcast, as I like to say, the fastest growing Dan Lebitard Show YouTube channel.
There you go.
We're up
That
to
title's
78. Yeah,
fitting.
you like that? Getting longer. The Fan Lebitard Show podcast, the fastest growing Dan Lebitard Show YouTube channel. Simple. We're up to 78 subscribers now, people. So you know what to do. Keep subscribing, keep liking, comment, do all that jazz. Beef talk, eh? And I know you mentioned your angry dumpling video. I'd like to give you a second here to talk about someone else who took a dumpling over the weekend, if you know what I mean.
Ah. So God once said, to err is divine. To say I told you so is righteous. It might have been, I don't know who said, someone said it. Someone said it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
all I want to say, I'm not, because I just, I'm not trying to, I've been out, I've been dealing with a Liz Frank
Mm-hmm.
injury in my lungs for the past like 3
Yeah.
weeks. I haven't been here. I haven't been able to share these moments with you guys. And I've just been watching. I've been watching like a rest in peace Kevin Conroy Batman from on top of the skyscraper, on top of the skyline at the criminals down below, at those running around, Geno Smith over there doing Geno Smith
Mm-hmm.
things. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, all right, look at that guy. I'm a David Montgomery. Someone tell me about him in fantasy. Look at him over there, kind of not doing anything like I said he wouldn't. And then I see the guy who I had my eyes on, the guy that I was watching, because I knew this moment would come. I knew the moment would come where my take didn't sound that outrageous. I get it. I get it. Was there a little sauce on it? Yes. Was I being a little
Yeah.
over the
Mm-hmm.
top when I was like, he won't da 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 da? Okay, all right. Let's not get lost in numbers. The fact remains that Josh Allen is having a little bit of come down to earth moment. And I'm
Little
here
struggle.
for it
Mm-hmm.
because no one else was there with me other than Billy Gill. Billy Gill was
Mm-hmm.
there, but I think he was doing a shtick. But I was there legit. No one else was there with me when I was telling y'all, hold on, guys, hold on, relax. Let's pump those
Yeah.
brakes. Let's pump those brakes. There is not a league that represents parity more than the NFL, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know of a sport where you could be on top of the world one moment and then the next the bottom. It just happens all the time in the NFL. So to think that that can't happen with a player is ridiculous. And you got to have a larger sample size, right? My whole thing was I didn't like that Josh Allen was being propped up on this pedestal past all these people who have a larger sample size, right? You have a gentleman who was in the same draft class as him, who has an MVP, routine playoff visits, amazing years, doing things players have never done before in a league. You got players like Patrick Mahomes who are winning championships, going to Super Bowls, doing
Mm-hmm.
things that players have never done before. And then this guy has, pretty good season. And now
Yeah.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
he's here. And I'm like, fam, relax. He ain't here. He's just driving by. If he spin the block, he might be here. But in the terms of him spinning the block, he got a flat. So what I'm saying is, as I look out that window, I see Lamar, I see Patrick, I see a couple of those guys. I don't see Josh Allen because Josh Allen
Mm.
is tending to his ulnar nerve injury. I had an ulnar nerve injury 8 months ago.
Really?
You know what I did?
Wow.
I didn't let it stop me. I didn't throw interceptions in the
Mm-hmm.
red zone. I didn't
Nuh-uh.
lose to Kirk Cousins.
No
First of all,
way.
we need to address Kirk Cousins being treated like a dress up doll and people putting chains on him because that's foolishness in itself. But I digress. We lost to
Respect.
Kirk.
No, no, no. Respect the 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins.
Yes, I
All
know,
right.
but
You find yourself in the fortunate scenario that Josh Allen here is your take is looking much better, but careful. Respect the 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins.
I'll respect the 1
Look
p.m.
out
Kirk
now.
Cousins if he can somehow learn how to be the 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins next week at 8 p.m. against
Mm,
well for
your
yeah
Cowboys, who,
yeah
yeah,
yeah. Let's not talk about Aaron
talking
Rodgers. He
about,
sucks too.
you know,
You were right about Aaron
yeah,
Rodgers.
yeah, yeah.
I'll give you
Yeah,
props for that. All I'm saying
fair.
is Josh Allen's coming back down to earth. I'm just letting y'all know that he wasn't this super god Thor Odinson guy that you guys made him out to be. He just isn't.
Mm,
Sorry. I'm sorry. He does a lot of
yeah.
amazing things, but he does a
Hmm.
lot of foolish stuff too. A lot of foolish stuff. This is supposed to be more energetic. As I told Nathan, I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to hurt myself. Right. I'm coming back. I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I can sustain the sustainability because if it's not sustained, then what are we sustaining? So I'm
Hmm.
just saying, Josh Allen, your ass is mine, and I predicted it. I'm just saying, I predicted it. I
Yeah.
predicted it.
Well, well done, because we'll see. I mean, they've gone from cream of the crop to 11. This is week 11 here, 11 weeks in, and they are in a dog fight now. Josh Allen cannot keep making those plays, or at this point, they could even find themselves out of the playoffs, which at this point, it doesn't matter everything you said. If that team goes from the hype that they had to out of the playoffs, sir, submit your resume to First Take.
I'm just saying, right? I can see myself up there in between Molly and Stephen A. with Russo on the other side talking about old white men who used to play football. Johnny Unitas and motherfucker, I don't care about no Johnny Unitas. Let's talk about Johnny
Hmm.
Manziel. So who the Bills got? The Bills got the Browns. That's a
Yeah.
win. They got the Lions. That's a win. They
Hmm.
got the Patriots. I think that's a tough one because we know Bill Belichick. We understand Bill Belichick from the standpoint of how we can understand most insane individuals. We understand why it happens. We understand what's happening, but we can't do much to avoid it. And Bill Belichick has something up his sleeves. Watch out for that December 1st game against the Patriots.
Mm.
Then we have them again at the Jets. I also think that this is a game that they can possibly drop because I feel like Josh Allen's going to come out and try to do too much.
Mm.
Then Dolphins back at the Bills, Bears, Bengals, Bills. Oh wait, they can't play themselves. Bears, Bengals, Patriots. I don't know, man. It's getting. I don't know. I don't know because
Mm.
are we just automatically assuming that the Dolphins are going to run away with that division?
Mm. I mean, at this point, I think they're definitely on a big time upward swing. They've got a lot of momentum. Tua is back. He's stayed healthy. Their offense seems unstoppable. This week was a big win for them because they put up a ton of points and they did it different than how they did
Mm-hmm.
it most of the season. A lot of rushing success and spreading the ball around to everybody. There was not a big game from Tyreek Hill. There was not a big game from Waddle. There were average games from him. Touchdown for Tyreek Hill, 4 receptions, 66 yards for Waddle. Little bit of a letdown from them, but they still demolished the Browns. 39 points.
Because what do those
So
two gentlemen do to a defense, right? If we're talking about Tyreek and Waddle, them two gentlemen alone, every play, if they're on the field, demand at least 3.5 to 4 defenders.
three, you think those two guys a little bit too far, Brian? A little bit
Well,
too far. You
well,
think 8 guys to cover those
no,
two?
no,
Then
no, no.
what
I
are the
said they
other?
demand three and a half
Oh,
to
for
four
the
defenders.
two
Relax.
for the okay. I was like, each
12 men
the
on the field. Was
I
it
was like,
12 men on?
Brian.
Yeah, no. So when you look at how those boxes look when you're playing against a team that warrants that much attention on the
Mhm.
outside. Yeah, I just don't know how you don't have a solid ground game. You just gotta trust your play caller to call those plays. And obviously, we know Mike McDaniels. That's what he does, right? Been told countless times that Mike McDaniels is a run genius. He's off the Gruden tree and all the blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
But take it from me as a Cowboys fan, it don't matter how good you run the ball if you don't run the fucking ball. All right. It doesn't matter if you're
Yeah.
averaging 5 yards per carry with one of your backs and 7 with another if you don't keep running the damn ball.
Though, I have something. The Cowboys, I'm furious with them because they cost me some money. All right. I won big 2 weeks ago in the Batard League, and I did not cash this week by a hair. And that was also, I didn't play Fields, but I still was in the cash the entire time until literally the final 10 seconds of regulation of the Cowboys game
Damn.
knocked me out of the cash because Pollard got over 100. But the Cowboys here, the end of the game, like what's going on at the end of the Cowboys Packers game where is like neither team wanted to try and win it in regulation. Like, I don't know what was going on there, but the Cowboys pooped the bed there because they're making Aaron Rodgers look like he has something left in the tank when smart football people know Aaron Rodgers has nothing left in the tank, and you lost to a shell of a man and a team that is on the decline. And as the show says, that was a terrible win for the Packers because their season's already over. They're not going to make the playoffs. They've already been in free fall for too long. They're not catching the division. There's just no way. And there's no way they'd have to. They're like, what? Are they currently 3-6 now, or are they 4-6?
The Packers are they currently 3-6? They're currently 4-6 because of
Four
that.
and six. So they almost have to win out to make the playoffs. They can probably afford to lose like one, maybe two more games, and maybe they'll limp in if other teams fall apart at a 9-8 record. But
I don't see it. They got the Titans
no.
next week. They won't forget to
Well,
run the ball.
Tuesday they got them.
Or
Yeah, coming up.
they
Or
got the
not
Titans
Tuesday, Thursday.
tomorrow.
Sorry.
It's Tuesday
Yeah,
night games. Bring them back. They
I
got
know.
the Titans. They got the Eagles. They got the Bears. They got the Rams. They got the Dolphins. They got the Vikings, and they got the Lions. I only see them beating the Lions, and I still think that that's a toss up because I think personally, Lions across the board have more talent on that
Yeah.
team than Green Bay does.
And the Bears, even though they're still ahead of them, the Bears are on an upward swing in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
their defense can't stop anybody, but their offense is starting to come together with Fields just running all over everybody.
I don't foresee the Packers couldn't stop running quarterbacks when they
Yeah.
weren't as fast as Fields and they had an amazing defense. They definitely aren't stopping Justin Fields. It's not happening. It's not happening. I
Mm-hmm.
see them maybe squeaking out that Rams game. Who knows? Because Lord knows what's going on over there in LA. You should probably know you're closer than us. But Rams, Lions, yeah, I'm not worried about them at all, and I'm not concerned about them. I just hate being in a situation where this motherfucker owns us. Hate it. See, I told you I was going to yell, and you see what you did. See what he does to me? I
Yeah.
just fucking hate his ass so much because these aren't even like wins where he comes out and he just does like otherworldly shit, like 48 for 46. You heard me. 48 passes completed, 46 attempts, right? Otherworldly shit. 18 touchdowns. No, it's ain't those types of games. These are games
Mm-hmm.
where it's like clearly there's a better team on the field, but they're losing all the fucking time. I hate that. I was talking with Jesse Holly on Twitter, ex Cowboys wide receiver, and I was like, this was setting up to be
Mm.
the beautiful, most narrated narrative with narration for a story
Wow.
driven season of redemption
Mm-hmm.
ever, right?
Well
The
said.
Cowboys were going to get revenge on the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and beat the brakes off him by like 30 points. Then they were going to
Mm-hmm.
stomp the Eagles at at the Eagles. It's a link, as they call it, right? Cool. That's not really revenge because Dak is like 11-2 against the Eagles. He does it all the time, so that doesn't really count. But just going to do it because they were supposed to be still undefeated at that time. Who cares? Then they were going to face Tom Brady and actually beat Tom Brady. Tom Brady's never lost to the Dallas Cowboys at all. Beat him in Tampa Bay, right? Cool, because they're going to run away with that division because that division's
Mm-hmm.
trash. Then they're going to face the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Bust they ass. And then there you go, baby. That's what was supposed to happen. They can't even get step one of that process done.
Yeah. But look out now, because I mean, you have that division and what the
AFC East.
AFC East is at those
That's how,
two divisions,
that's how we do
man.
it on the East Coast, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we do it. We breed them differently over here. Like when y'all over there, it's 58 degrees and I'm in my little coat jacket with my flannel and
Got to
eating
stay
Wagyu.
warm.
I live in
Mm-hmm.
Lancaster. That we over here breed in championship teams
Yeah.
or teams with good regular seasons.
No days off, right?
What's that? What's that?
Oh, and he finishes that talk, folks, only to reveal that he's drinking out of a mason jar.
Because what is tougher than drinking out of glass?
Broken glass. That's what.
Everywhere, everywhere. And this ain't. You know where I got this from? I got this from a
The
radioactive.
trash. Just someone was like, I'm done with this jam jar. And I'm like, well, I'm not.
They
Cleaned it
say
up.
what's one man's trash is another man's drinking receptacle.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yes,
your favorite?
sir.
What's your favorite thing to drink stuff out of?
Good question. My favorite thing to drink stuff out of. Okay, I think I have those. I have like a pint glass, except have you seen the ones? They're kind of like they're shaped almost like a soda can. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like um
What kind
a
of
glass,
weird
but
Spencer's gift shit is that?
well, I don't know. It's just cool. My brother works at a brewery, so I have like 4 or 5 of them from like his brewery. And so yeah, it's just like a pint glass, except it has the look of a can where like once you get to the top, it kind of like goes in just a little bit. So I that's a fun one to drink out of. I love you throw that in the freezer, you get a little frosted glass, pour a beer into it instead of just drinking it out of the can.
These are real
Or
things.
yeah.
Something about a liquid out of a glass. Just
Mm-hmm.
it's just right? Like it's a top tier way to dispose of liquids into your mouth. It's right up there with like drinking a McDonald's Sprite with no lid on it. I don't know about you, but there's certain fast food spots where if you drink out of the plastic cup without a lid, it does something. It's like a chemical reaction with the air, your face, the ice, and the thingy. And I'm telling you, like you have to try it out. It's not for everybody, but promise me.
Who do you think on the show drinks out of the snobbiest receptacle? I would say my guess. I want to say Dan because he likes the fancy tequila. Maybe he has a fancy shot glass, but then again, he has had tequila on the show and just drank it out of a small plastic cup. But I'm gonna go with Dan. You have a water wall. I think you have some snobby glassware that you drink things out of. Who do you think drinks out of?
I'm going Whittingham.
Ooh,
Whittingham drinks tea out of
nope,
thimbles.
nope. I disagree with you here. He's a bachelor. I just don't perceive him as um someone who's yet acquired the taste for fancy glassware. Like bachelor lifestyle. Why is he busting out a fancy glass? He's not seeking out a fancy glass. He's doing the, hey, look, Target has their dollar cups again,
No, that's
and he's
Billy. That's
drinking out
Billy.
of that.
I'll push back on that in saying being single as a man doesn't make you a bachelor. The lifestyle makes you a bachelor. And nothing about his lifestyle to me breathes that he's a bachelor. Even though
Nothing.
Tony is married, I feel like Tony is more of a bachelor than that guy. I just Whittingham, I feel like with how much time he spends attempting to impersonate the life of someone who's fancy,
And
I
yet
just
he has a oven timer. Okay. The oven timer derails all of this. The man wakes up to a oven timer. He is not going out and getting some fancy, appropriate glass for his drinkware because the oven wakes him up.
I you say that, I say resourceful. You know what else is
Yeah.
resourceful?
They don't, then resourceful people, exactly. There's Brian, no one is going to be like, whoa, that mason jar. That's so fancy. That's so snobby, right? Remember, the question was who drinks out of the snobbiest. Now, I see why you went there because fancy lad, but
I just feel
I,
like he would force it. The same way he forces himself to say bona fides every time.
yeah,
And he
if you're
forces him
listening,
like I don't think I don't think he would drink out of the snobbiest glass because he wants to, but because it fits his image.
okay, if you're listening, Chris Whittingham, take a photo of your glassware cabinet and tweet at the fan. What's Ty's Twitter handle? Fan
At the
underscore
fan Levitard.
Levitard Twitter, right? Hey, do you think we should talk some about Twitter? What do you think about Elon Musk? Huh? How's Twitter? How's Twitter going,
Man,
eh? We're
man, man. I also like the fact that as soon as I pop up on Twitter, the fan Levitard is right there. So that is LEBATARD underscore
the other
fan.
way.
And if you're on the show and you feel as if you hold the title for having this snobbiest drinking device, you tweet at Lebetard underscore fan to let us know what it is that you got under your belt. Um, the Elon thing is interesting. And when I say interesting, it's not, right? It's it's I've never seen someone so eager to have people like him while effectively being so bad at having people
Mhm.
like him. Like when you look at Jeff Bezos, you often hear things like, yo, you got 188 million bajillion babillion dollars, fam. You can save the world. But Jeff Bezos also operates under this kind of guideline where he don't really give a fuck about anything. He's just like, I'm living my own life. I do what I want. Twitter doesn't exist to me. Like, I don't care about that feedback. Except Elon does. He carries himself. He actively cares about what people say. So wouldn't it be easier to just do the easy shit to get people to like you? I feel like it's so easy when you have so much capital to get people to like you. Yet, over time, we see these billionaires, these people of power get into these positions and they continuously do dumb shit to the point where their group of fans that like them start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And before you know it, you're caught in a Twitter chat back and forth with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Mm.
Like it's just so weird. It's so weird that someone can be in a position to be this wrong all the time, while so many people believe he's right. But it's more people believe he's wrong. It I I just listen. If Twitter goes the route of MySpace and fucking what was that social media app where you would check in places? Was it called Foursquare?
Oh, man, I did that for a while. My wife actually still does it. It changed like names
What
now. I
was
think it's
it?
something like, oh man, I can't even, like, Square
I
something,
thought it was it called
or
Foursquare?
Foursquare, but it
Yeah,
changed. It's now
yeah.
like something. It's like Swarm or something.
Ew, ew, ew. See? But look at that. Exactly. See?
It's like, yeah, I don't, yeah. I think it's maybe called Swarm now. If I, but yeah, was it Foursquare or is that something
Yeah, it
else?
was
I
called
don't know.
Foursquare.
Anyway, I I would do, and you become a mayor of a place. You'd
Yeah,
start going
yeah,
right. You
yeah.
try to become the mayor of all these places in your town or on a college campus, right? Um. So
Remember the
yeah,
beer
my
one? They had a beer one that was just like
yeah.
that. You would check in and drink. Besides all that though,
Mhm.
I think he's absolutely insane, and I just I went to Twitter as my secular social media platform because I didn't like where Instagram was going. I got off of Facebook a long time ago. So I said, yo, let me just kind of use Twitter only. And I loved it because as a person who owns his own business, I've gotten a plethora of job opportunities off Twitter. There's casting calls on Twitter. There's people in my peer group in the voiceover industry on Twitter that I can have direct access to. A lot of people I never would have. I would have met you guys if it wasn't for Twitter, right? Like
Mhm.
Twitter was the de facto town square for me. And it sucks that I'm in a situation now where it's like I have to start thinking about what's the next move if I want to
Mm.
continually grow in certain avenues. And it sucks because I don't think that I don't Instagram, TikTok, these places are a step down to me because less, it's less this and it's more what can I do for you? It's more content. It's I'm here to show you a reel. I'm here to show you what I did with this effect. I'm here to show you this thingy. Where there were moments on Twitter. We had moments on Twitter, fam. Like
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
there have been like it's crazy. Like it's insane. Like how do you write about this as a historian? And what do you
Mm.
compare it to? I'm trying to think about, like, when I learned about, like, just movements in history, civil rights movement, the Marxist movement, like, just different, like, times where people would have a identifying factor that would group large groups of people together that wasn't stuff like race or religious creed or all that shit. Um, and it was like, what are they gonna write about in 100 years when they write about social media and its effects? Are they gonna mention, like, Lizard Squad? Like, are they gonna mention like this moment where the fake verifications? Like, are they gonna mention this stuff? Like, we've gotten some of the most high quality tweets out of the last 2 weeks, and for that I'm thankful. But it's kind of like one of them things where it's like, are you just confessing your love to me because the world's ending? And in that case, I don't know if I really want it because I can't do anything about it. Because guess what? We about to die.
Well, that took a turn there at the end. You know, Meadowlark did talk about this, not Meadowlark, Meadowlarkers talked about the old tweeters in an episode and talking
Really
about
good.
how like yeah, really good where you can have all these thousands of followers, but say in terms of, a book deal, it could lead to like paltry numbers as much as like tens more sales
Hmm.
from your social media following. Yet it's important to the publisher that they'll, you know, pay you more because they see that you have that. And of course, as one of the heads of the fastest growing Dan Lebitard show YouTube fan channel, I've experienced this too, where you put some things out on Twitter and you can have 1,000 plus followers like myself. And, you know, for example, made a music video for All In that gets off like hundreds of likes, retweets, seen by, tens of thousands of people. And
As it
how,
deserved. It deserved to be seen
mhm,
by more.
and how many clicks did that actually lead to? Man, I want to say like direct clinks,
Clinks.
was like, tens, right?
Yeah.
So, but, then the YouTube algorithm takes over from there. So it's interesting, as someone who's then gone on to create a Tom Brady short that has gone on to 6,000 views and put that same short on each platform. Twitter, or sorry, we'll end with Twitter, right? YouTube, 6,000 views. Instagram, 3,000 plus views on our reels, which for our Instagram following, like that's essentially,
It's
going
substantial.
pseudo viral or whatever for our means. Twitter, 1 like. So it's just
Because you ain't
all,
verified, player.
yeah.
You ain't verified. The social media hustle, as someone who, so in my field, right? There's been casting calls where it was exclusively. It was intrinsically in the specs, only accepting auditions from people who have 10,000 or more followers on Twitter. Because the idea is just like
Mm-hmm.
anything, if you star stud this cartoon, you star stud this video game. When you say stars, you're applying stars to numbers on a social media account. You don't know if those whatever. But the idea is if I'm only working with people who can bring in these views, that will in turn become more cross promotion and people naturally want to talk about what they do. And it's man, I don't think there's more of a double-edged sword than social media right now floating around this planet. Like there's a lot of good that goes on this damn bird app. But there's so much bad. But there is so much bad. Like and like look why is it mean tweeting to somebody saying I also fucked your mom?
Yeah. You know.
Right? Like, but at the same time, that's not a bad thing to me. That was in the good category. like, like it's I don't know. It's tough, and I just hope that we can find some way to counteract this pendulum swing because I think we did swing too hard to one direction, and there was no music pun there, but I think we swung too hard one way, and this is kind of the counteracting of it. And I grew up on message boards, right? Like when I was a teen, that's when everyone kind of had a computer. That's when it was like commonplace. We still had dial up and stuff like that, but that's when it was like commonplace where having a computer wasn't weird. It was like, oh, you have a computer, cool. Not everyone had one, but there was someone on the block that had a computer, and I remember growing up and being on like hip hop message boards and like car message boards. And that's where I think it was like, okay, this is interaction between you and strangers that you don't even know. You know, this could get weird, but it was all like a sense of respect with like you didn't just go into a mess, hey, what would be the best muffler for my car? Hey, what kind of car do you have? What size exhaust? Do you have any other bolt-ons? Stuff like that. Now it's what is the best exhaust for my car? Google, you dumb bitch. And it's like, how did we at what point did that happen? At some point, people went from let me treat the people online like people because I know people are people and these are people that are talking to me. And I don't talk to random people like that in the street like that. So why would I talk to these people like that? To hey, these people are online. These aren't real people. I can talk to them any way I want to because I would never see them. And who gives a fuck about them? At some point that happened, and I don't know when. It scares me that I don't know when. And I don't know what needs to happen to get back to showing some empathy while online.
hmm
It's just, you know, just, you know,
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me, I actually recently just watched the movie Vengeance that David Sampson reviewed like a couple weeks back, the BJ Novak movie, and that actually touches on some of the things you talked about, like, the premise is he's a writer who wants to do a podcast, and he ends up in Texas because a girl who he hooked up with died, and the family thinks he was her boyfriend, but they were just casually hooking up. And from there, he goes and solves it. And what's interesting is at the end, the big reveal, he gets the person to, you know, he solves it and gets the person to, confess, and he reveals to him, oh, like I was actually recording you. And the person is like, do you want me to do it again? Like I can do it again if you want. And he thinks, BJ Novak's character thinks, oh, like it's this, I've got him. And then
Yeah.
he explains to him, like, no, like, don't you see what's going to happen? Like, everyone's going to have their take on this. And at first, people will come after me, but then they'll shift to the family. And everyone will have to have their own take, because if you don't have a take, you don't have a voice.
Mm,
And then he goes and keeps explaining how from here it's going to spiral out. It doesn't matter that I've just told you the truth, that I'm responsible for this, because this cavalcade of, people are going to get their own takes in, and then
mm,
people are going to disagree with them just for the sake of disagreeing,
yep.
and it won't matter. And I was like, oh, that, like, I thought that was an interesting way of kind of talking about like social media and even how people connect, like in this day and age. And, felt like it, with the disconnection. And here we are, fans of the Dan Lebitard show, because we connect with them, right? That's
Yeah.
probably what draws us to it. It's not just a typical sports podcast, right? I got into sports podcasting, enjoyed listening to it. But there's only been one sports podcast that
That's
I
kept you.
have that I've stuck with, and it's the Dan Lebitard show, because it stands out. And it does create those connection points where Dan keeps talking about, like, people feel like they know us, with the nature of that. And just the unique way they talk about it. So I think like that is something that makes them unique. And I think part of that comes from like Dan, their leader, and how he continually tries to talk about and emphasize the humanity in people. And at least whether he disagrees with someone or not, I think Dan tries frequently to understand others. And I mean, I think that's what's important. When you recognize the humanity of others, you can restore that connection point in a world in which connection points have frayed. Little deep talk there, folks.
Are we at the point where a majority of the people who, when I say majority, 51%, the majority of the people who listen to the Dan Lebitard show do not get the show?
That's an interesting question, because I go on, like, I haven't been in a while. I stopped, but we had our word on the street, and
We got a
that
word on
made
the street
me,
tonight.
oh, we do? Well, we should, but I've been on the Reddit, and it just seems like a lot of, doesn't matter the Reddit community, it seems like it is a lot of complaining about the show. And yeah, I mean, do
I,
the majority, I think the majority still, because though
but
the,
like,
go ahead, go ahead.
like when and specifically what I mean with that is the amount of, because I see the same exact thing as you, and the amount of vitriol
Mm-hmm.
that's sent towards Dan for being the Dan that we all fell in love with is insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's insane that we, to me personally, I admire Dan for his ability to constantly speak about these things that need to be spoken about, speaking about the humanity in people, speaking about the humility in people, giving you the 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes a episode worth of discussion about people that the general populace has determined he fucked up. He's a fuck up. We don't care why. He's a fuck up. Let's just deem him unworthy to speak about and deem him a fuck up and keep it moving. But why? He wants to discuss the why. How did we end up
Mm-hmm.
here? What caused us to end up here? And to me, this is something he has always done. So if you became a fan of the show because of him having, because you can't tell me you became a fan of the show for any other thing because he's such a large driving force of the show, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be like saying you love The Simpsons but you hate Homer. Like I get it, but at the same
Hmm.
time, he's such a huge part of it. You're forcing yourself to like the show at this point. And it's like, why would you expect him to stop? Like we got to this point where we had become I myself had become fans of this show, fans of this universe because he's consistently consistent. And he will always be him when it comes to certain topics. And I actually look to that from some source, some sense of like like normalcy. Like when things are going on in this world about this and that, I know I can at least check in to maybe think about something differently when I listen to him. Maybe think about something I didn't think about previously. A lot of times when I leave a good show, I'm leaving with a thought that I didn't have going into it. And that speaks for the Metal Larkers. That speaks for Mike Schur moments. That speaks for John
Hmm.
Amici moments. That speaks for Amin moments. That Amin Mike Schur discussion they
Back and
had
forth.
about
Yeah.
Chappelle the other day was fantastic because I didn't walk away from it like, oh, he's a fucking idiot or he's stupid. I walked away from it like, wow, this shit really it like and as complicated as that situation was, that's the point. It's complicated. It's
Hmm.
complicated and there is no yes or no answer to it all. And it's just I just don't get the folks who and this isn't me sucking Dan's dick and none of that. This is just me. He has a job. And his job is to me is to constantly remind us we are all humans. It don't matter if you are a star athlete at a college. It don't matter if you just got into a domestic violence situation and you're a fucking quarterback for who and who. It doesn't matter if you're a politician, you got caught in a hotel with somebody. Like we're all humans. And if we constantly skip past this human part, we're doing what I said earlier. We're skipping past the, well, what kind of car do you have? And we're going straight to the, it's Google, bitch. And I
Hmm.
don't want to live a life like that. With the cell phone, with TikTok, with microwave attention spans, I don't want to further push myself into worlds where we keep minimizing our chances of having human to human interaction.
Well said. And
And
that's
speaking of human to human interaction, word on the street, you know what it is. This is where your boy B Green finds a comment, a post, something off one of the Dan Levitard inspired subreddits to share with the show and maybe have some thoughts on it. This week, we got my man Complex Mulberry 716. This was specifically in a post that stated, would Mike take the EP job back? He says, Mike is the C student who's one of the smartest in the class but doesn't apply himself. Witty,
what?
Witty is who everyone thinks is smart in the class, but he just does all his work and studies really hard for tests. What's your thoughts on that? This was specifically about the conversation that when Mike was an
Okay.
EP, the
Hmm.
static EP, you know, that guy with the show before he took the executive position at Metal Arc, that the shows were more consistent in terms of how well they were done, how well they were ran, how well they were produced. Do you think there's something there with that?
Um, hmm.
Dropping the bass and you hearing it now.
You know, I I don't agree with it. That feels like a common complaint that I've seen of even I mean, it just on the Reddit, but I don't agree.
You don't want to hear it
I
when I
gotta
drop the
I gotta
bass.
formulate my thoughts here now, right?
Well, while you
Um,
formulate,
yeah.
I'll add my thesis, my dissertation, excuse me. I think what happens is you can't have a shifting of power without a respect for power. Expect that power to remain powerful in a situation where power should be presented in a powerful person. Now, let me explain to you what I mean. A producer on a show is
Bet you
important,
never heard of something like this
very
before.
important. Important from the standpoint of not only do they produce, but for the most part, they're the guiding factor on how this show runs. They keep shit in line. They keep things going in the way that they're supposed to go. And I feel like some of the haberdashery that comes along with the show and how they treat Witty sometimes crosses over into Witty's ability to properly produce the show. And that wasn't an issue with Mike. Part of it was because there's no one who's Michael Ryan Ruiz is the Dominique Dawes of mental gymnastics. Like, you can't tie him down at some points because that motherfucker would do all sorts of cerebral cortex cartwheels to get out of it. And that's his shtick. That's his bit to me. And I appreciate it for him. But because of that, he's also one that can't be kind of, for lack of better words, bullied as a producer of a show. And I feel like I see some of that kind of when it comes to Witty, to where, I feel like just innately, like, it's, you can watch your father get beat up and you can say, I'll always treat you like my father. But after you see him get his ass whooped, you're gonna be a little less hesitant to give him that big piece of chicken. You're gonna be a little less hesitant when he tells you to go to your room. Like really? Like, come on. Like, and I kind of see that a little bit. And it just could be from because Witty's just new. It could even be like a one person's weaker than the next. It could just be Mike was on the show from the beginning and Witty is new. That's a thing too. But I just think that there's some sort of weird kind of complex there where it's like, even if it's subliminal, hey, Witty, I'm not listening to you because you're witty. Ugh.
Okay, my thoughts on this. Like, so part of that comment is like, people don't enjoy when Mike tries to analyze sports. That's part of the complaint in this, is they think he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I guess my comment from that is like, I mean, I don't care whether he's right or wrong. Ultimately, when you're talking about sports, isn't a lot of it just opinion, right? And isn't that part of the show, that they make fun of sports shows because we come and we talk about sports like it's this thing where like we know so much, but ultimately
we don't know nothing.
At the end of the day, yeah, we don't know anything. We don't know anything. Like, especially it's no sport more than football.
Yep.
We know nothing about, like, again, the show's always like, analyze the O-line talk. Like, the way I do that is let me look at the box score and look at the average yards per carry, right?
Yep.
Or the number of sacks. But I can't, like, that's how I do it, right? But that still doesn't give the full picture, right? So the people that complain are like, I don't care. Like, I started listening to the show, like, I like their opinion, right? And how they talk about it. So I guess I don't understand people's irritation with, I mean, maybe you just disagree with how Mike's talking about something, or you have a different point of view. Like, don't let the fact that you have a different point of view like irritate you so much. It's sports. There's not always like a right and wrong on it. Like, there's room for like gradations of opinions, right? And there can be multiple explanations for sports. So for me, that's like my opinion. Like, I don't care whether the show says something and they're wrong or right. It's like, do you deliver it to me in an entertaining and different way? And the show consistently does that. When it comes to Witty, I think like is he officially like the new EP? Because I don't think the show has a new EP in the way that Mike was the original executive producer. To me, it seems like the show has shifting executive producers that differ from day to day. But that comment mentions like Witty trying to make it his show. Like, I don't understand what that means.
No. Don't mess with Complex Military, whatever his name was. He was comparing them to students, where Mike Ryan would be the C student who just doesn't try hard, and he could be the valedictorian. but he just doesn't try give a damn. That reason why he just mails it in, he gets a C. Versus Witty, who gets his good grades because he studies. He just studies. He works hard. He studies for tests. He tries hard. He does what you're supposed to do as a student. Not no God gifted talent of just knowing how things work. He just really puts the work in. And I think they were kind of looking at it from that perspective of someone who has it because he was just, born with it, and someone who has it because he had to work to get it. A more forceful, a system. They were calling Witty a system EP, and they were calling Mike a playmaker.
See, so I was going all the way back up to the post that originally started this thread. Like, again, the comment of Mike is a C student who doesn't apply himself. You're going to say the guy who helped write a musical in less than a month doesn't apply himself.
But
like,
that wasn't to his English grade. That was his intramural drama club. Like, that's the point.
Like,
that doesn't help his GPA.
I could not disagree more on the fact that Mike does not apply himself. Of all the people on the show that are of everyone on the show, there is no one, in my opinion, who puts more into the Le Batard show than Mike Ryan in terms of going on other podcasts. And people give Mike a hard time for his comments of saying, if you see me in public, don't talk to me stuff. No one, in my opinion, no one connects more with fans than Mike Ryan.
That's shtick.
Yeah.
That's bit. Yeah.
So, other than, okay, I'll give Chris Cody his due there because he hooked me up. Like, Chris Cody is also very good with the fans, but this just goes to where see, which is another constant thing of people are upset that the show doesn't work daily, and a common thing that you'll see is people commenting like, these guys hardly work, and it's like, you honestly have no idea how much these people are working. You're just making these assumptions based off of what you think. They come in to the show, they talk, they turn off their microphones, and they're done, and they go home, and they don't not everyone records something on Friday, but they don't do any work on like Friday, or who's in, who's not in. Like, for me, you just adjust to the times. Like, okay, the show's not as consistent in terms of every single day. Like, you're going to have your full assortment of everyone that's there, but they're still keeping consistency to their schedule. I mean, the one thing I would say is, do you think the show's, or should we save it for another time?
I like that teaser. Hold that, but can you give us a little bit more? Just a little bit more what you're about to say.
Is the show trying to actively sabotage a long-running segment?
Bam!
Find out on the next episode, or we'll just keep kicking it down the road like Mike's texts from his dad.
Or his tissue eating.
He's going to eat that tissue. I believe in him.
Very well. Witty would have ate that tissue 5 times 8 days ago.
From a fancy glass, no less.